Hello, everybody. I am Greg Audino, and this is Optimal Living Advice, edition 298. Great to have you here as always, and I really appreciate you starting your week off with us. Now, I would like to think that the show keeps everyone inspired on a Monday as we look ahead towards the week. So, this time around, we'll be talking relationships once again, breakups specifically, and once again diving into how to handle what might feel like a rocky recovery. Except this time, our asker is the one who initiated the breakup, who we are less apt to hear these types of questions from, but I'm really glad that we have today. So let's jump on in and start optimizing your life. It's been about 3 months since I broke up with my boyfriend of 7 years. And Greg, it's been 3 months of mostly sadness and missing him. I definitely felt like I made the right choice at the beginning. Our relationship clearly wasn't working anymore. We had stopped communicating, and it was plain to see that neither of us was excited anymore. I was positive this breakup would be for the best, and I honestly think he thought that too. But we're still here, talking more than we thought we'd be, and seeing each other from time to time too. Deep down, I still think it was for the best. But I'm having a hard time taking that gut feeling seriously the more time goes by, and I'm just not over this. As the one who broke up, I feel it's a sign if I'm still having thoughts like this. It makes more sense to me that he would be struggling with this, but if this was the right thing to do, why haven't I moved on? All right, there we have it. Thank you so much for this one, Asker. This is a very hard question to send in, I know. Nobody wants to go through all the turmoil and eventual execution of deciding to break up, especially after 7 years. Only to one day entertain the fact that they might have made the wrong decision. And for some, silence is their way of combating this feeling, as if it's somehow, as if it's not real if they don't say it aloud. Those are the people who tend to not recover as well and are more prone to jumping into their next relationships, unable to truly love again at that point. So you are very brave for sending this question. But now that you're here, what do we do with it? Well, let's paint a picture of your relationship and just issue some reminders for a moment. 7 years is a long time. That's a significant amount of time to commit to someone, and based on how you've described this breakup as a graceful acknowledgement that it just wasn't right anymore, I can only assume that you were really in it for those 7 years. In it enough to know the difference between the failure you experienced towards the end and the success you once enjoyed. Releasing for the best with no talk of malice or resentment. This relationship, while only passionate for a time, seems to have had respect for the entire duration. And we don't give ourselves lightly to a bond like that. The time and quality of this relationship, the fantasies about the future, are enough to demand a lot from anyone. You gave a lot of yourself. There's no question about it. And just because the person who does the breaking up is in a position of power, I guess, does not at all mean that they aren't allowed to grieve, or to miss their ex, to feel they did wrong, or virtually any other response that one might commonly associate with the person who is broken up with. These are perfectly normal responses on both sides, and there are a lot more of them too. Sometimes it's relief on either side, sometimes it's indifference on either side. But you cared for this person, and he cared for you, and you gave a lot to one another. You can't necessarily expect that love to just evaporate, certainly not after only 3 months. And certainly not with all this contact you're still having. Contact in which you're watching this object of your affection suffer, and are probably used to jumping to their aid and being unionized by one another's vulnerability. Now, some people might argue that the contact itself is keeping you from moving on completely. Many people would argue that, actually. I'm not necessarily one of them. Personally, not keeping in touch with someone after breaking up has felt helpful to me, but I'm not prepared to say that you can't heal while also keeping in touch to a certain extent, and that it's the sole way of recovering. Maybe it's a helpful tool for you and you haven't tried that clean break yet, so it could give you clarity on whether or not you made the right choice if you were to try that. But I sort of think that this very hunt for clarity could be exhausting you. and you don't need any more exhaustion right now. You have a gut feeling, you said that. And I'm guessing that this time around, it's not wrong. And if you weren't under the impression that your recovery should be attached to a certain timeline, it doesn't sound like you would be doubting it either. So forget the black and white if you can. You don't need to be certain that you made the right choice already. You don't need to be completely over him after just 3 months. It's going to take time to develop that confidence. And you might never feel you attain the level of confidence that you imagine having. But instead, you'll wake up next to someone else someday, someone that you truly love and are ready to give yourself over to, and realize that the love you have for your ex, it's not gone, it's just different. Your love for him has stayed, but it's turned into more of a sense of gratitude, maybe. He occupied a huge chunk of your life. You went through a lot together, you learned things from him, and you wouldn't be where you are today without that experience. That's worthy of love for someone. But just because you have that type of love for him doesn't mean that you should be with him or that you're necessarily not ready to be with someone else. So understand that the ways you both love and grieve and how you interpret that love and grief have plenty of gray area. The more that gray is denied, the more confusion you'll have. So consider what it would feel like to give yourself permission to have these feelings for a while longer. Drop the fight, drop the schedule, drop the rules. Give yourself and your feelings a vacation and allow yourselves to both be free. And then see what happens. Okay, and many thanks to the asker once again for submitting this question. It really is my hope that you can loosen your grip on this need to feel 100% sold on the decision to break up. Yes, we hear about it. Yes, it sounds easier. Yes, we would like that because it makes us feel as though we've made more sense of things. But it's not always a reality. And the more we demand it to be, the more we set ourselves back. And it's my hope that this episode helped you the way that you were hoping for, asker. And for everyone else out there, thanks a million for stopping in, as always. And do not hesitate to submit any questions of your own to the show. I like nothing more than helping you guys out. So by all means, email any and all questions to advice@oldpodcast.com. Advice@oldpodcast.com. But it's time to end now, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope your week is off to a great start. And I'll see you again on Wednesday, where your optimal life awaits.